Some songs define an entire year, then vanish like they were never there. 1976 gave us bicentennial celebrations, disco fever, and dozens of artists who scored one massive hit before disappearing from the charts forever. These are 10 one-hit wonders turning 50 years old in 2026. Number 10. Afternoon Delight by Starland Vocal Band.
Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon delight.
Bill Danoff and Taffy Nivert were married songwriters who'd already written Take Me Home Country Roads for John Denver. In 1975, they recruited John Carroll and Margot Chapman to form Starland Vocal Band. The name came from a restaurant in Washington, D.C. called Clyde's, where Danoff saw Starland on a poster and liked the sound of it. Danoff wrote Afternoon Delight after seeing the term on Clyde's happy hour menu. The restaurant used it to describe cheap daytime drinks. Danoff turned it into something else entirely, a song about afternoon romance wrapped in innocent-sounding harmonies. The suggestive double meaning was deliberate, but subtle enough that many listeners didn't catch it at first. The song was released in April 1976 and climbed to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 by July. It stayed at the top for 2 weeks. Radio played it constantly that summer. The harmonies were soft and breezy, perfect for easy listening stations. Teenagers loved it. Their parents did too, at least until they figured out what it was really about. Starland Vocal Band won 2 Grammy Awards in 1977, including Best New Artist. They beat Boston, who were also nominated that year. The group even got their own variety show on CBS that summer, but it was canceled after 6 episodes. Nothing they released after Afternoon Delight came close to matching its success. The band broke up in 1981. Danoff and Nivert divorced shortly after. Carroll and Chapman, who'd married each other, also divorced. Afternoon Delight became their legacy, a song that still gets played on soft rock and oldie stations. It's been featured in dozens of movies and TV shows, usually for comic effect when characters realize what the song is actually about.
Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon delight.
Number 9. Play That Funky Music by Wild Cherry. Rob Parisi formed Wild Cherry in Mingo Junction, Ohio, in the early 1970s. They played hard rock at first, covering songs by Grand Funk Railroad and Led Zeppelin at clubs around Pittsburgh and Cleveland. One night in 1975, at a predominantly black club, someone in the crowd yelled for them to play some funky music. The comment stuck with Parisi. He went home and wrote "Play That Funky Music" in about an hour. The song turned that heckler's taunt into an anthem, complete with the specific racial reference that had been shouted at him. Wild Cherry recorded it in early 1976, and everything about the track was designed to groove. The bass line was thick and funky. The horns punched through perfectly. Parisi's vocals had just the right amount of soul. Released in June 1976, the single exploded. It hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 by September and stayed there for 3 weeks. The album went platinum. Wild Cherry appeared on television and toured constantly. They seemed positioned for a long career in funk rock. Instead, they became the textbook definition of a one-hit wonder. Their follow-up singles barely charted. The album, Electrified Funk, from 1977, went nowhere. By 1979, Wild Cherry had broken up. Parisi became a songwriter and producer, working with Gary U.S. Bonds and later moving into smooth jazz. None of his other projects approached the success of that one song. Play That Funky Music has lived on through covers, samples, and constant radio play. Vanilla Ice sampled it for Ice Ice Baby in 1990. The song still appears in movies, commercials, and sporting events. It's become one of the most recognizable funk rock tracks of the 1970s, even if Wild Cherry never managed to follow it up. Number 8. A Fifth of Beethoven by Walter Murphy. Walter Murphy was 23 years old in 1976, working as an arranger for Doc Severinsen's Tonight Show Orchestra and writing advertising jingles. He'd studied at the Manhattan School of Music and knew both jazz and classical piano inside out. In 1976, while working on a disco song for a commercial, a producer suggested updating classical music for the disco era. Murphy recorded a demo tape with 3 ordinary pop songs and 1 disco version of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. He sent it to record labels across New York. Most ignored it completely. Private stock records owner Larry Utel heard something in the Beethoven adaptation and signed Murphy immediately. Murphy played nearly every instrument on the recording himself. The track opened with that famous 4-note Beethoven phrase, then transformed it into a disco groove with horns, strings, and organ. The arrangement was clever and surprisingly respectful to the original composition, while making it completely danceable. Private stock insisted on crediting the song to Walter Murphy and the Big Apple Band, believing a group name would sell better than a solo artist. 2 days after release, they discovered another band already called the Big Apple Band. Later pressings changed the credit to the Walter Murphy Band, then just Walter Murphy. The other Big Apple Band eventually changed their name to Chic. Released in May 1976, A Fifth of Beethoven climbed to number 1 by October, staying there for 1 week before being replaced by Disco Duck. The single sold 2 million copies. In 1977, it was included on the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, giving it a second life and introducing it to millions more listeners. Murphy tried to repeat the formula. Flight 76, a disco version of Rimsky-Korsakov's Flight of the Bumblebee, reached number 44 later in 1976. Nothing else charted. Murphy never made the top 40 again. He moved into writing music for television, eventually composing for Family Guy and other Seth MacFarlane shows. But A Fifth of Beethoven remained his moment, a brilliant novelty that worked far better than it had any right to. Number 7. Fooled Around and Fell in Love by Elvin Bishop. Elvin Bishop had been the guitarist for the Paul Butterfield Blues Band in the 1960s before going solo in 1968. By the mid-1970s, he'd built a loyal following with his blues rock style. But nothing he'd recorded had broken into the pop charts. His gravelly voice and guitar work were perfect for the clubs where he performed, but radio success had eluded him. In 1975, producer Bill Shimchick was finishing up Bishop's album Struttin' My Stuff when he told Bishop they had room for one more song. Bishop had written Fooled Around and Fell in Love a few years earlier, but hadn't recorded it yet. The band worked out a backing track with lilting keyboards and a smooth groove. When Bishop tried to sing it, something didn't work. His rough blues voice didn't fit the song's romantic feel. Bishop turned to Mickey Thomas, a vocalist in his backing band. Thomas had the smooth, soulful voice the song needed. They recorded it with Thomas on lead vocals, while Bishop handled guitar. Released as a single in early 1976, Fooled Around and Fell in Love climbed to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 by May. It stayed in the top 40 for weeks. Radio played it constantly. The song became a soft rock staple, its message about a womanizer who finally falls in love resonating with listeners. Mickey Thomas left Bishop's band soon after, eventually becoming the lead singer for Jefferson Starship. Bishop never had another pop hit. He continued performing and recording blues music, building a respected career. But Fooled Around and Fell in Love remained his only brush with mainstream success.
That's the way I used to be.
The song has lived on far beyond its original release. It appeared in Boogie Nights, Big Daddy, and most prominently in Guardians of the Galaxy in 2014, introducing it to a new generation. But for those who remember 1976, it's the song where Elvin Bishop accidentally created a pop masterpiece while trying to record a blues album. Number 6. Shannon by Henry Gross. Henry Gross had been the guitarist for Sha Na Na in the late 1960s and early 1970s. He went solo in 1973, releasing albums that found modest success, but no major hits. In 1975, his friend Carl Wilson of the Beach Boys told him about his Irish setter named Shannon, who'd recently died. The conversation stuck with Gross. He wrote Shannon as a tribute to Carl's dog, capturing the grief of losing a beloved pet. The lyrics were sentimental but genuine, describing how Shannon ran until she couldn't run anymore. Gross's vocals were emotional, without being overwrought. The production was soft rock perfection, with acoustic guitars and gentle harmonies. Released in January 1976, Shannon became a sleeper hit. It climbed slowly up the charts throughout the winter and spring, finally reaching number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 by June. The song resonated with anyone who'd ever lost a pet. Radio stations played it constantly. Gross appeared on television and toured extensively. The success caught everyone by surprise, including Gross himself. Here was a song about a dead dog becoming one of the biggest hits of 1976. His follow-up singles failed to chart. Later albums sold poorly. Gross kept recording and performing, but never approached the success of Shannon again. Carl Wilson later said he was deeply moved that Gross had written such a beautiful song about his dog. Shannon became one of the most famous pet tribute songs in popular music, proof that genuine emotion could connect with millions of people even when the subject seemed too specific or sentimental. Number 5. Disco Duck by Rick Dees. Rick Dees was a radio DJ in Memphis when he recorded Disco Duck as a comedy record in 1976. He wrote it in about an hour, inspired by Donald Duck impressions he'd been doing on his morning show. The concept was absurd: a duck going to a disco and dancing while making duck noises. Dees recorded it at Estelle Axton's studio, with her son Packy playing drums and local musicians filling out the track. Dees did the duck voice himself, quacking and talking like Donald Duck over a disco beat. The song was deliberately silly, designed to mock the disco craze while also being catchy enough to work as an actual disco track. Released on Fratone Records in September 1976, Disco Duck became a phenomenon. It hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in mid-October, knocking Walter Murphy's A Fifth of Beethoven off the top spot. The single sold over 6 million copies worldwide. People either loved it or hated it, but they all knew it. Dees's boss at the radio station WMPS demanded he choose between being a DJ and being a recording artist. Dees chose radio. He moved to Los Angeles and became one of the most successful radio personalities in America, hosting the nationally syndicated weekly Top 40 for decades. Disco Duck was his only hit record. The follow-up, Disc-Gorilla, went nowhere. Later attempts at novelty songs failed completely. Dees had stumbled onto something with Disco Duck that he couldn't repeat. A perfect storm of timing, absurdity, and a hook that people couldn't get out of their heads no matter how much they wanted to. Number 4. Convoy by C.W. McCall. Bill Fries was an advertising executive in Omaha who created a character called C.W. McCall for a series of bread commercials in the early 1970s. The commercials featured McCall as a folksy truck driver. They were so popular that Fries decided to record songs as the character. Convoy was released in December 1975, just as CB radios were becoming a national craze. The song told a story about truckers forming a massive convoy to protest speed limits and regulations. Fries spoke most of the lyrics in CB radio slang, with a chorus that was sung normally. The production mixed country and pop elements perfectly. The song caught the cultural moment exactly right. Everyone wanted CB radios in 1976. Truckers were heroes in popular culture. The Citizens Band radio terminology sounded cool and mysterious to people who didn't use CBS. Convoy spoke directly to that fascination. Released nationally in January 1976, the song climbed to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 by mid-March. It also topped the country charts. The single sold over 2 million copies. A movie based on the song was released in 1978, directed by Sam Peckinpah and starring Chris Christopherson. C.W. McCall released several more albums, but nothing came close to Convoy. Bill Fries eventually retired the character and went back to advertising and other business ventures. He served as mayor of Ouray, Colorado, from 1986 to 1992. Convoy remained his legacy, a song that captured 1976's CB radio craze better than anything else could have. Number 3. More, More, More by Andrea True, Connection. Andrea True had an unusual path to pop stardom. She was an adult film actress who'd been working in that industry since the late 1960s. In 1975, she was in Jamaica, filming a movie when political unrest broke out. The Jamaican government froze her earnings, refusing to let her take the money out of the country. True was stuck with a pile of Jamaican dollars she couldn't convert or remove. A studio musician named Greg Diamond suggested they use the money to record a song in Kingston. True had no singing experience, but Diamond thought her breathy voice could work for disco. They recorded More, More, More at Dynamic Sound Studio with Jamaican session musicians. The song was pure disco seduction. True's vocals were sultry and suggestive, singing about wanting more of her lover's affection. The production was slick, with a driving beat and orchestral flourishes. Everything about it was designed for the dance floor. Released in early 1976, More, More, More climbed to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 by summer. It became a massive club hit, played constantly at discos across America and Europe. The song's sexual energy was impossible to miss, and True's background in adult films became part of the promotional angle. True recorded a few more songs under the Andrea True Connection name, but none charted as high. By the late 1970s, she'd moved away from both the music and film industries. She died in 2011 at age 68. More, More, More remained her legacy. A disco classic that millions of people danced to without knowing anything about the singer behind it. Number 2. Love Hangover by Diana Ross. Diana Ross had already been a superstar for over a decade by 1976. As the lead singer of the Supremes, she'd had 12 number-1 hits in the 1960s. Her solo career in the early 1970s had been successful, but hadn't produced the same level of chart dominance. Love Hangover changed that. The song was written by Pam Sawyer and Marilyn McLeod and produced by Hal Davis. It opened with a slow, romantic ballad section where Ross sang about the after effects of intense love. Then, about 2 minutes in, it transformed into a disco groove that was impossible not to dance to. The shift was dramatic and unexpected. Released in March 1976, Love Hangover climbed to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 by late May. It became Ross's first solo #1 hit in 4 years and proved she could adapt to the disco era. The song topped both the pop and R&B charts, and it dominated dance floors throughout the summer. What made this a one-hit wonder in the context of 1976 was that Ross never had another major disco hit. She continued having success with ballads and pop songs, but Love Hangover was her only disco #1. It captured a specific moment when established artists were adapting to the disco sound, and Ross did it better than almost anyone. The song has remained a disco classic, appearing on countless compilation albums and in movies set in the 1970s. It showed that Ross could reinvent herself for a new musical era, while maintaining the vocal power and charisma that had made her a star in the first place. Number 1. Moonlight Feels Right by Starbuck. Bruce Blackman formed Starbuck in Atlanta in the mid-1970s. The band played a mix of soft rock and pop, and Blackman wrote Moonlight Feels Right specifically to showcase the band's marimba player, Bo Wagner. The marimba gave the song a distinctive island feel that set it apart from everything else on radio.
Lay back and observe the constellations.
The lyrics were simple and romantic, about how moonlight and being with someone you love just feels right. Blackman's vocals were smooth and understated. The production was polished, but not overproduced. The marimba part was the hook that made the song unforgettable. Released in early 1976, Moonlight Feels Right climbed to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 by summer. Radio stations loved it. The song was perfect for summer nights, capturing that lazy, romantic feeling. Starbuck appeared on television and toured extensively throughout 1976. But they never had another top 40 hit. Everybody Be Dancin', from later in 1976, only reached number 38. After that, nothing charted. The marimba sound that made Moonlight Feels Right so distinctive was hard to replicate without becoming a gimmick. By the late 1970s, Starbuck had faded from the national scene. Moonlight Feels Right occasionally gets played on soft rock and oldies stations, but it's become increasingly rare. The song captured a specific mid-1970s soft rock aesthetic that doesn't fit neatly into modern classic rock playlists. For those who remember 1976, though, it's an instant reminder of summer nights and first romances. These 10 songs defined 1976. They topped charts, filled dance floors, and played from every radio that summer. Some were serious, some were novelties, but all of them connected with millions of people in ways their creators couldn't repeat. The artists behind them kept making music, kept trying, but they'd already had their moment. 50 years later, these songs remain time capsules of 1976. When disco ruled, CB radios were everywhere, and one perfect song could change a career forever. If you enjoyed this trip back to 1976, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more music history from the decades that defined us.